Swole Benji here. Today I'm going to educate you about compounding your actions so that you'll be more efficient at what you're trying to do, as well as explain how the game isn't balanced around certain content and that you're most likely wasting your time doing certain tiers of activities. Let's talk about activities. On screen are a bunch of random activities you can do. Certainly not everything, but it's just a general broad range of stuff you can do. Today's video is about getting the most out of your activities and what activities you should be doing to work towards your goals of what it is that you want to do in this game. For example, scouting. If you want to be a scout, all you need is a Discord and to talk to people. They'll pay you silver to tattle on any would-be gankers that enter the dungeon, so your employers can prepare to fight or escape safely. Other than that, there's nothing else to this. There's no compounding this. Now, another option is green dungeons. Those are solo random dungeons. A personal favorite on this channel. Unlike scouting, dungeons earn you fame and silver, but that's not all. And we'll get into that later. So already we can see that doing solo random dungeons, because you get both silver and fame, is far better than scouting, since scouting does not earn you fame, and the silver earned isn't any good, honestly. Like, the people paying you to scout for them are earning far more, so why would you ever do it? Alright? So here's activities that require you to have high fame, good gear, and an understanding of the game. Sure, you can do some of these with low fame, but if you are max spec in a weapon tree, it's like having 3 enchants or 3 tiers of power applied to you automatically. So if you use a 4.1 crossbow with maximum spec, it's as strong as a new player using a tier 8 flat crossbow. Of course, most of you already know that the way RPGs work is the stronger you are and the more money you have, the more things you can do, the easier it is to do, and if things go wrong, you won't be bankrupt having to harvest rough stones naked outside of town for hours. So how do you get there? And how do you get there in the most efficient way? Well, the two main choices are gathering or doing dungeons. Gathering allows you to get better at gathering, which earns you silver, and silver can technically be used to strengthen your combat abilities at a high cost. While dungeons is a split between random treasure earnings, which earns you silver, and earning combat fame, which makes you stronger. So which should you do, and how do you get the most out of them, and how do you scale them up the best? That's what I'll be teaching you today. We'll start with dungeons. You have 2 choices as a new player, solo dungeons and corrupted dungeons. A solo dungeon is a randomly generated dungeon that has monsters, buff shrines. My mic isn't even working. Wait, yes it is. Okay, holy crap, I thought I had to redo the video. So you have to choose, you have 2 choices. Solo dungeon, hello? What the? Okay. My mic is totally working. It better be working. Dang it. Yeah, there it is. All right, good. Okay, let's continue. A solo dungeon is a randomly generated dungeon that has monsters, buff shrines, and loot inside. A corrupted dungeon is a randomly generated map with tiles that has traps, monsters, 2 mini-bosses, a mob linked to treasure, and a final boss. Corrupted dungeons also allow players to invade your area to try to down or kill you for extra loot. Hunter and Stalker corrupted dungeons limit your item power, making your clear times slow. Stalker and Slayer difficulties have the threat of losing your entire inventory when killed. Which one should you do? If you do corrupted dungeons and you don't run a high mobility or a meta PvP build, you're going to lose out. But if you manage to really spec up the build and do Slayer dungeons, you can earn the highest fame per hour in the game. But this is generally for the top 0.1% of PvP players who still spend over 10 minutes clearing. Still, the fame gain can't be beat. However, these players are risking sets worth 20 million silver, which most just pay to win to get their loot back when they lose it, as it turns into rock, paper, scissors, or a battle of ring around the rosy to see whose internet connection fizzles out first. I can't recommend corrupted dungeons because of these reasons. You are trading tons of silver for fame gain, though. Solo dungeons have a similar fate as well. Instead of 3 difficulties, solo dungeons have way more. Tiers 3 and 4 are blue zones, which a player can enter your dungeon, but you can't attack him and he can't attack you. You can steal your mobs and your shrines and your boss loot, though. Tier 5 is the yellow zone, where they can attack and down you for up to 3 minutes, but not kill you. Tier 6 through 8 are the red and black zones. In reds, a flagged player can kill you, and in black zones, everyone's flagged by default, so they can attack without warning. Solo random dungeons also have maps that can be applied, increasing the difficulty and the potential loot earned as well as fame gained. Most maps aren't worth doing at all, as the cost offsets the benefit or value. Tier 4 and Tier 6 maps are currently on the market for cheap, and are the best ones to generally use, but after countless testing, Tier 4 maps are not worth doing over just Tier 5 solo dungeons. And Tier 6 maps are only worth doing if you want to risk expensive gear. Now, let's go over how to compound our dungeons to get the most out of them, as well as find out which dungeon is worth doing, as in, what are all the activities we can stack to earn the most, to make our time spent the most efficient. Now, before we do that, let me rule out some dungeon choices for you. Once you've played for at least a few days, or if you've taken my tutorial video and applied it, you can completely skip over blue zoned Tier 4 dungeons, and here's why. In a full 8.3 gear set designed to speed clear dungeons, the amounts of abilities you need to cast on a Tier 5 mob are the exact same to kill as a Tier 4. Everything you can 1 to 2 shot in a Tier 5 dungeon is also 1 to 2 shottable in a Tier 4. But the Tier 5 gives higher rewards and more fame. What I'm saying is that a Tier 4 dungeon's clear time is the same as Tier 5. I average 1 minute 45 seconds per floor in a Tier 5. Also, we can rule out the Tier 8 dungeons. Let me explain, because you're going to want to hear this. Out of 100 dungeon tests in full 8.3 gear with maximum spec, the Tier 8 Black Zone dungeons scale up the difficulty to the point that Tier 7 Black Zones have a higher clear time and loot reward, shorter clear time and higher loot reward, they're nearly identical to the Tier 7s, as well as the threat of gankers being 5 times higher in Tier 8 zones. There is zero reason for you to ever run a Tier 8 dungeon, because you aren't making more silver and you're making less fame due to the fact that mobs are so much more tankier than they are in Tier 7s that it isn't worth the time spent doing them. I'm not the only one that has tested this. Countless other YouTubers have made videos about this. Do not run Tier 4 dungeons and do not run Tier 8 dungeons. Now, this isn't some conspiracy, this isn't some cover-up, some Illuminati shadow round table secret that the big dog YouTubers are trying to get you to do. This is just facts and truth. So, with this information, what can we conclude? If all you care about is fame gain, using a full 8.3 gear set and running Tier 5s is the way to go. If you turn the satchel off and don't use fame credits, you make a very decent amount of silver for zero risk. But how is this comparison fair? You're not using an 8.3 satchel or 8.3 gear in the dangerous dungeons. Why is that? Well, gee, do you know anyone that wants to risk millions of silver for a very slight bump in fame and silver? If you died in 8.3, that's hours and hours lost forever. You'd have to farm 12 hours of red zones just to buy that set back, or 10 hours in the black zone dungeons just to afford a replacement. Does that seem like a smart choice? Not to mention that black zones don't even let you faction flag at all and have zero warning if someone's entered your dungeon. Oh, you want to wait 90 seconds for it to close? Go right ahead. In that same time, I've already cleared a yellow zone floor. Now multiply that every single time you do a dungeon. Even if you did wear 8.3 in the black zone, you still gotta wait 90 seconds, Wagey. Listen, when people are spotted in expensive gear, people get on Discord. They call their friends, they set up kill points all over the map, so unless you log out in your dungeon for hours, then log in and ride home, there will be a ganker party just frothing at the mouth to take your 8.3 loot. But don't take my word for it. I've only played this game for years on end. Do your own tests if you don't believe me. Go listen to redditors who seethe and get mad over my videos and who spread false information like, Great Axe is the fastest dungeon clearing weapon. I mean, really? Log into the test realm and prove that statement wrong. It's a huge think tank of guilds on the forums, the subreddit, and the official Discord. So to sum it up, for the 6th time on this channel, run Tier 5 Yellow Zone dungeons, use an 8.3 speed clear set, have as many generalist trophy journals and mercenary journals as you can stand doing, and give the journals to the laborers to level up. Then sell the laborer, not the journal. Do this 3 tiles away while faction flagged for a 15% increase, and to make more silver or fame tomes from the faction rewards. Do this until you have a nice bankroll to fund whatever else you want to do in this game. Like, bend the knee and serve a guild like a simp, or roam around the world solo getting ganged on by every guild in a hand-holding mega alliance. If you want to play tag or keep away with Grail Seekers, then go do corrupted dungeons and forfeit all of the compounding I taught you today. I was going to go over gathering next, but this video got kind of long, so if it does well, I'll make a gathering version. Anyway, as always, be a bro, stay swole, return your shopping carts, and I'll see you in the next one.